So in terms of open source, we haven't talked about that, but and that has some implications for AI as well. In other words, people write proprietary code and then companies try and hang on to it. So no one knows what the code is. It's hidden from view. Whereas there's this debate going on, even AI, between open source AI and proprietary AI. Would you like to talk to that a bit and what your views are on that? Because we ended up with software that's open source, Linux, which is and I think most of the world's servers, I think, run on Linux now these days, I think, as well.
The vast majority of the servers. People don't realize, but Linux is actually the most popular operating system in the world. Like, you don't see it every day in front of you, but it's actually powering all the services that you use behind the scenes, like Google and just about everything that you do online is powered by Linux.
And it's open source.
And it's open source, yeah. So yeah, it's a good question. Historically, open source software has been more sort of impactful, in a widespread manner. So there's maybe this decision to make whether, as you are the author of an AI tool, do you want your AI tool to become sort of a standard in the industry on top of which you build other sort of commercial applications, and then you would have widespread impact with your open source contributions, but maybe there you have to think about how do you want to monetize it if you want to sustain it. Not every open source project works through donations. Like, I think Linux foundations and things like that, they have been tremendously successful, but the vast majority of open source software needs to be powered by some commercial sort of effort to be really sustainable. And then on the other hand, you have closed source software where it is primarily designed for it to generate money. And that's why it's closed source. You want to hide your moat. You don't want to give away the secret sauce.
Your IP.
Exactly. And so there is a debate because once you do closed source, you get less developer love. So it depends on what exactly you target with your business. Sometimes it's worth targeting the developers and building the infrastructure of AI, the stuff that powers everything else. And there are many sort of playbooks by which you can actually turn that into a monetizable product as well to sustain it. But also you could be building something very sort of end user driven. So you're not appealing to developers, you're appealing to the consumers and so on. And I think in those cases, it makes more sense to be closed source, right? Like, at that point, there's no benefit to you necessarily to open source your technology to give away some of that IP. There's more benefit in you sort of holding tight to that and sort of using that for monetization. And then anyone who wants to compete with you has to recreate that technology from scratch, basically. And I think it all depends on exactly what you're going after as a business. So it might vary depending on whether you're building the infrastructure of AI or you're building the end user sort of consumer oriented type of business.